Welcome to an in-depth exploration of the Battle of Plassey, a pivotal event in India's history that shaped its future. Fought on June 23, 1757, this battle was not just a military conflict, but a turning point for Indian society, politics, economy, and culture. The causes of the Battle of Plassey were deeply rooted in the growing economic and political ambitions of the British East India Company. This powerful trading entity, which had already established a significant presence in India, was eager to expand its influence and control over the lucrative trade routes that crisscrossed the Indian subcontinent. The company's relentless pursuit of profit and dominance led to increasing tensions with local rulers. The British sought control of these vital trade routes, which were fiercely defended by Nawab Siraj-ud-Daulah, the young and determined ruler of Bengal. Siraj-ud-Daulah, who had recently ascended to power, was acutely aware of the threat posed by the British East India Company to his sovereignty and the economic stability of his region. He viewed the company's actions as a direct challenge to his authority and a blatant encroachment on his territory. The Nawab, newly ascended to power, resented the company's encroachment on his authority. His court was filled with advisors who urged him to take a strong stance against the British. The Nawab's determination to protect his realm from foreign interference was further fueled by the company's aggressive tactics, which included fortifying their trading posts and forming alliances with local chieftains, thereby undermining the Nawab's control. A series of confrontations over tax exemptions, misuse of trade privileges, and political meddling set the stage for an inevitable conflict. The British East India Company's demand for tax exemptions and their misuse of trade privileges were seen as blatant acts of defiance by the Nawab. These issues were compounded by the company's political meddling, which included supporting rival factions within the Nawab's court. The escalating tensions and frequent skirmishes between the Nawab's forces and the company's troops made it clear that a major confrontation was unavoidable. The stage was set for the Battle of Plassey, a pivotal event that would alter the course of Indian history and mark the beginning of British colonial dominance in the region. The Battle of Plassey, a pivotal moment in Indian history, involved two major forces. The British East India Company, led by the ambitious and strategic Robert Clive. Clive, known for his military acumen and shrewd tactics, commanded a relatively small but well-trained and disciplined force of British soldiers and Indian sepoys. The British East India Company, at this time, was not just a trading entity, but a formidable military power with its own private army, seeking to expand its influence and control over the Indian subcontinent. On the other side, the forces of the Nawab of Bengal, Siraj-ud-Daulah, were a diverse and formidable assembly. The Nawab's army was bolstered by a variety of Indian rulers and mercenaries, each bringing their own strengths and weaknesses to the battlefield. Siraj-ud-Daulah, though young and relatively inexperienced, commanded a large force that included infantry, cavalry, and artillery units. His army was a mix of traditional Indian warriors and modernized troops, reflecting the complex and evolving nature of Indian military forces at the time. However, the outcome of the battle was heavily influenced by internal betrayal. It was the treachery of the Nawab's own generals, particularly Mir Jafar, that sealed Siraj-ud-Daulah's fate. Mir Jafar, who harbored ambitions of his own, entered into secret negotiations with Robert Clive and the British. Promised the throne of Bengal in return for his support, Mir Jafar's betrayal was a decisive factor. His actions led to confusion and disarray within the Nawab's ranks, undermining their ability to effectively resist the British forces. The battle itself, fought on June 23, 1757, was more of a staged confrontation than a full-scale war. Strategic manipulation and psychological warfare played key roles. Clive's forces, though outnumbered, utilized superior tactics and the element of surprise. The British also capitalized on the disunity and lack of coordination among the Nawab's forces. The strategic use of artillery, combined with the timely defection of Mir Jafar's troops, ensured a swift and decisive victory for the British East India Company. This battle marked the beginning of British colonial dominance in India, reshaping the subcontinent's history for centuries to come. On June 23, 1757, the British forces and Nawab's troops clashed near the village of Plassey. Despite having a much larger army, the Nawab's forces faltered due to treachery from within. Robert Clive's strategic planning and the defection of key Indian forces to his side turned the tide of the battle in favor of the British. The British victory at Plassey marked the beginning of their dominance over Bengal, and later, all of India. Mir Jafar was installed as a puppet Nawab, while the British East India Company took control of Bengal's vast resources, including its rich agriculture and textiles industry. The repercussions of the Battle of Plassey were felt deeply in Indian society. This pivotal battle, fought in 1757, marked a significant turning point in the history of India. The victory of the British East India Company over the Nawab of Bengal and his French allies set the stage for nearly 2 centuries of British colonial rule. The impact of this battle was not just limited to the battlefield, it rippled through every aspect of Indian life. Politically, it marked the beginning of British colonial dominance in India. The British East India Company gradually extended its control over vast territories, using a combination of military might and strategic alliances. This period saw the erosion of traditional Indian political structures and the establishment of British administrative systems. The once powerful Indian kingdoms and princely states were either annexed or reduced to vassal states under British suzerainty. Economically, Bengal's wealth was drained to fund British expansion, leading to widespread poverty. The region, once known for its prosperity and thriving trade, saw its resources exploited to benefit the British economy. The British imposed heavy taxes and monopolized trade, leading to the decline of local industries. The once flourishing textile industry of Bengal, renowned for its fine muslin, was particularly hard hit, as British policies favoured the import of British manufactured goods. The traditional Indian economy began to collapse under British exploitation, as artisans and craftsmen found themselves unable to compete with the influx of British goods. Many were forced to abandon their trades and take up agriculture, leading to an oversupply of labour in the agricultural sector. This, coupled with the British land revenue policies, resulted in widespread agrarian distress and frequent famines. While social structures began to shift as the British imposed new forms of governance. The introduction of British legal and educational systems led to the emergence of a new class of Western-educated Indians. This new elite, often referred to as the Brown Sahibs, played a crucial role in the socio-political landscape of colonial India. Traditional social hierarchies were challenged, and new forms of social mobility emerged, albeit within the constraints of colonial rule. The British also implemented policies that exacerbated existing social divisions, such as the caste system, to maintain their control over the Indian populace. Culturally, British influence began to seep into Indian life. The British brought new systems of education, legal frameworks, and governance that slowly eroded traditional Indian practices. However, it also led to the emergence of resistance movements, which would eventually fuel India's struggle for independence. The Battle of Plassey, though seemingly a small conflict at the time, set the stage for nearly 2 centuries of British rule in India. Its effects on society, economy, and culture are still felt today. Understanding this battle is crucial to understanding the history and development of modern India.